They skulk about in the darkness of night. They cower in shadowy corners of desolate caverns and forlorn ruins deep beneath the soil. They crawl out of a realm unknown, every footstep in our dimension sodden with anguish. They lash out in fear and rage as they invade a plane of existence inhospitable to them, and only in death do they find an end to their suffering. Drifters are an anomaly to many. To some, they are restless and wrathful spirits stuck between this life and the next. To others, they are all that remains of those foolish enough to challenge God. Today, we will investigate them, explore their possible origins, and determine their place in the events that have transpired in this world. As we analyze these horrors, it's important to remember that Vintage Story is still in development. As new information is revealed, the theories presented today may be debunked. This video is meant to spur discussion and further theorization by the Vintage Story community, so please, leave your ideas in the comments. Also, look at this. Yeah, that right there. You know what I'm talking about. Go do it. Drifters come in several varieties. The more pitiful forms are found at the surface. They have a pale skin with blackened limbs that seem to be made of flax, evidenced by the fibers that can be harvested from their corpses. They're short with a hunched posture and a craned neck. They suffer from poor perception, likely due to the absence of eyes, ears, or a nose. As you descend into the depths of the world, the bodies of these terrible beings only become more horrific, the more gruesome kinds appearing dark and corroded, with metal scrap jutting from their bodies. The most dangerous variant, the double-headed drifter, can only be found in the deepest reaches of the underground, its body constantly twisted by the energies of the rust world. The temperament of the surface drifters can be described as fearfully violent. They lash out quickly when one steps too close, but are prone to flight, especially in the daytime. The subterranean types are far more aggressive, fleeing only when exposed to the brightest light. While the nature of these entities is puzzling already, their origins are even more enigmatic. Scouring lost journals and records of fallen kingdoms reveals no mention of drifters until after a plague, known as the Rot, wiped out most of humanity, forcing survivors underground where they awaited salvation by a scientist named Jonas Fawkes. By some accounts a genius and by others a madman, Fawkes tinkered with forces far beyond humanity's understanding, and in his efforts to save mankind, activated a machine that created a dimensional bridge. It was through this temporal instability that a plane known as the Rust World was allowed into ours, with temporal rifts and storms providing passage for drifters to enter our world in corporeal form. The truth behind what the drifters really are hasn't been fully revealed, but with our current knowledge, two theories are most plausible. Firstly, drifters could be creatures native to the Rust World, created by the powers or energies that have dominion over the realm. They could end up in this dimension by chance, just as we can be transported to the Rust World by staying in a temporally unstable region for too long. This would explain their animalistic nature, as well as their biology being so alien. However, there are a few flaws with this theory. Firstly, the existence of drifters as a species native to the Rust World implies the existence of other life forms, but the drifter is the only one we see. In addition, when a player enters the Rust World, they'll take periodic damage until death, something drifters don't suffer from within our world. This brings us to our second, far more graven theory. If you observe drifters long enough, you may catch a glimpse of one dropping to its knees or looking at its arms before raising them to the sky. These behaviors betray their beastly demeanor and imply that somewhere within them resides a higher intelligence. Or at least, what remains of one. Drifters could be what's left of those that faced prolonged exposure to temporally unstable environments, with the rust world morphing their bodies and minds until they are nothing but a mockery of the human form. The name Drifter even implies that they exist in some sort of in-between state, not belonging to any one place. There's no evidence that the seraphim can be converted into drifters, so perhaps this only affects humans. However, we have no true evidence of anyone ever being converted into a drifter, so for now, it remains a mystery. Before we end our investigation, I'd like to mention some interesting thoughts presented by a viewer of my previous lore video, which you should definitely watch if you haven't already. The comment itself covered multiple topics, but I'd like to focus on just one. According to this theory, the dimensions we see lie on a spectrum, with the rust world on one end, the overworld in the middle, and a third seraph realm on the far end. This would explain why we take damage on the rust world, with it being on the opposite end of the spectrum, while both seraphim and drifters can coexist in the overworld, since it's only one step out of their respective planes. This would also fall in line with many real-world religions and mythologies that have opposing worlds on either side of our Earth. So, according to this theory, why are the seraphim here? It could be because whatever Fawkes did in his attempts to stop the rot tipped the balance toward the rust world, and since equilibrium has been disturbed, the seraph world has also been affecting the middle realm. It could also be the same reason the drifters appear. Temporal instability affecting the seraph world rather than the rust world. Their appearance could also be one of benevolence. Throughout history, there have been no shortage of myths involving advanced people coming to our aid to give us knowledge or help us recover from a disaster. Unfortunately, we don't have any solid proof of this third dimension's existence. All we truly know is that the seraphim are connected to those that lived underground during the rot's peak, but the true extent of this link is unknown. Once again, this theory and all of the evidence came from this commenter. If you're watching this, I'd like to thank you for presenting this theory, and I'm hopeful for future lore drops that might give it some more ground to stand on. That's all the information that we have on these things from the other world. Perhaps we'll uncover more characteristics of the rust world that help shed light on what these creatures truly are, and help us understand the rust world in general. It's pretty spooky though. Boo! I got you. Please subscribe.